Is the new GV80 Coupe a get it or skip it vehicle? We're showcasing the 2025 Genesis GV80 Coupe in a uni white over Sevilla red Obsidian. Two trims to choose from. You have an E Supercharge, which is a 48-volt mild system that increases horsepower to over 400. But is it going to be enough to get it or skip it? I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides. I'm going to throw in some pros and cons. I'm going to compare this against the competition to see what Genesis has done. Now for the GV80, we're going on almost 10 years that Genesis has been a brand by itself. When this first came out, it was a coupe from the Hyundai line. Now we're getting prestige vehicles that are in the $80,000 to $90,000 price point. That's what the E Supercharge would cost. This one's going to be just a touch over 80 grand. 8.1 inches of clearances across the board for all GV80s. And we're getting the G90 sedan headlight assembly. Quad micro array LED headlights and daytime runnings. I like the staple that Genesis does with the GVs because this stands out of class. When you're thinking about the Germans, some of their light configuration are going to be very similar. But Genesis is the only vehicle that literally pops, and you can tell this at nighttime or daytime. The grille has been reworked for the GV80s. We get the smoked out chrome. The lower gets the gloss black with the honeycomb pattern and a touch for the side blades with front parking sensors. Housed underneath the hood, you can only get the 3.5 twin turbo 6-cylinder. That's going to produce 375 horsepower with 391 pound-feet of torque. Go into the E Supercharge, that's at 409 horsepower and 406 pound-feet of torque. So now this is a game changer because Genesis has gave us the power and increased it even more. We're achieving 16 mpgs for the city, 22 mpgs for the highway. Both are paired with an 8-speed automatic transmission. Both will have an electronically controlled suspension and electronically rear slip differential. With the upgraded brake disc, it's 14.9 inches. Now when you go to the non-coupe, it's going to be 14.2 inches. You're getting 4 pistons behind the Genesis badge, 20-inch wheels. This is a new wheel design. Going to the E Supercharge, 22-inch wheel. Now we have the E Supercharge already on the channel. You could check it out. The reason why I would get it, I mean, you already heard all these pros. The reason why I wouldn't get it is because you're so close to the E Supercharge, you might as well step it up a notch and go that route so you get more power. Towing is around 6,000 pounds. Genesis doesn't really put it. They have like a to be determined, but because this engine is found in the GV80 non-coupe, 6,000 pounds of towing. The lower is going to get the gloss black. You get the chrome and it's going to wrap around the window trims. You get the pinstripe with the Genesis badging. I could kind of do without it, but it does look kind of cool. Dual integrated LED turn signals, so they bring that quad look on the side quarter panel, which again, when you're thinking about competition, nobody does this. But then on the flip side, are they doing too much to make their vehicle stand out? Because when you go against Infiniti, Lexus, or Acura, this is already going to have more power. This is already going to be class leading in towing and payload capabilities. Safety is also going to be best, even surpassing the Germans, because you got blind spot view monitoring, which uses these cameras on the side view mirror. It's going to project an image on the digital gauge reader. And this year we get a 27-inch OLED screen configuration, which when you're competing against the class that it's in, nobody does that. Only BMW and Mercedes has the one screen panel right now. And when you start looking at the price of that, it's going to be a lot more money than 80 grand. But then some cons that come into play, or maybe a reason why I would skip it, is because I typically only see this a uni white or a white color or a black color. There's not a lot of color configurations when you go into Genesis. Quad LED taillights coming to the back. We got the coupe design, so you have the trunk lid spoiler on top with the digital camera, as well as a 360-degree reverse camera and your rear parking sensors. The lower gets the dual exhaust tips, and you'll have the honeycomb pattern in between. The E Supercharge is going to make it look a little bit more aggressive, and it should, because now you're touching near 90 grand, which is one reason why I would skip it, because once you start getting into these price points, it actually outprices itself, because now you could go into BMW, you could get like an M60i, and that's going to have a lot more power. I mean, 500 horsepower, a S68 engine, that's crazy. What that means, that's an M detuned engine for a fraction of the price. Go into Mercedes and you get the AMG 53, It's about 100 grand as well, and it's gonna have more power than this. That's why it puts itself in the class just underneath the Germans. I kind of wish that they would have just updated the power a little bit more, so making the base around 400-ish horsepower and making the E supercharged to be more at the 450, 500. But I mean, would you go GV80 Coupe or would you go competition? Drop a comment and let us know below. Power liftgate going into 30.3 cubic feet of storage, which will be 6.2 cubic feet less than the non-coupe. LED interior lights, 12-volt charger. Underneath the floor, you have some storage, area for the privacy cover, and it goes a little bit more deep. To split fold the rear bench at the 40-20-40 split or 60-40 split, push the buttons. That's going to maximize the cargo capacity to 62.1 cubic feet, which is going to be a little bit over 9 cubic feet less than the non-coupe. The key fob to the GV80 Coupe, and it's going to be the same as the non-coupe. 16-way power seat adjustment for the driver, 12-way power seat adjustment for the passenger, ergo motion seats for the driver. Heated ventilated seats, memory for the driver. And you're going to notice right away the update with that 27-inch OLED screen configuration with the wood inlays. When you go to the E Supercharged, there'll be carbon fiber. That's really the only difference between them. There isn't any pass-through, but you have a hidden pocket here with a wireless charging pad. With a Bang & Olufsen sound system, let's fire it up. Leatherette will be on the top portion of the dashboard. You'll have the microfiber suede inserts for the headliner with a digital rear view mirror and home link. LED interior lights. Napa leather will be on all the seating surfaces. This center here is going to be heated. Tri-climate control settings is standard. 2 USB ports and a 12-volt. You still got physical knobs, and this is a touchpad. Navigation is standard. Wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Sirius XM. Click onto the home button, or you can click down here and it's a touchpad also. Go into the setups, and this is going to be everything that you can configure, including the voice recognition. You have quiet mode, Genesis digital key, put it into reverse, and we got a 360-degree reverse camera, full trajectory for the front and the rear that expands. When you click onto this sub-menu here, you have the 3D view, so you can go all around the vehicle. Click back onto this sub-menu, click again, and now you have another little menu that pops out for the tow lineup or for different angles to make it easier. When you put it into drive, now this menu here will start for the front. You can click, and now you can use it basically for like a car wash view, so show the trajectory, and you can see the full camera in the front. The rotary knobs, this is going to be for controlling the infotainment screen. And you still have your driving mode select, which you got a ton of driving modes. You got Eco, Comfort, Sport, I mean, you could just read them. With the digital reader that can go through an array of different content for the driver, you have this new touchpad right here. Blind spot view monitoring, use your indicators. Check this out. The camera there, it's going to be right there in the gauge cluster. And you have finger recognition right here. Open this up, and you got a little storage that pulls out, and it goes kind of deep underneath here. You can see my hand gets hidden. 3-spoke steering wheel multi-function that we went over with the paddle shift. I like the two-tone because it makes it look a little bit more sporty. With the heads-up display, leg room, you're going to have a sufficient amount. And the same thing with headroom. They do a good job carving it out with a long panel moonroof that goes into the back. Door panel and dash configured together nicely. You get the contrast stitch, but then they forgot to put it here. So that's definitely a con for me. You got the real wood, and this will be carbon fiber when you go into the E Supercharge. One touch up and down for your windows. It's soft to touch where it needs to be, and I like the two-tone that comes into play with a long storage pocket. For the back seat, this is the opening that you have to fit 2 more with the cup holders and armrests, as well as a little storage unit here in the center. Third climate control settings, heated and ventilated rear seats, USB-C ports, home plug, storage behind both of the front seats. And look, this is a cool feature. When you're sitting on the passenger side in North America, you can move the seat. So if you have little kids, they can just play with the wife or husband, whoever's sitting, not driving the vehicle. Storage behind both of the front seats. The door, it's gonna have the same segment that's found in the front, so it's soft to touch. You get the real wood and about the same size storage pocket. And look at this, soft closed doors. That's standard on the coupe. Sitting behind me, it's carved out, so I like how they do this because it does give a little bit more leg space. Headroom is taken care of too, so even as a coupe, I'm 6'3", I can fit. You also have power seat adjustments in the rear, which would just make it where I can relax. Sliding into the center, the floor is not completely flat. You're gonna share some feet space, but not so much. Butt, leg, and shoulder space, I've left the seat in the position where it's folded back so you can see you're not really sharing that much, and because the seats are carved out in the way the design is, you're still blocking the central command, but I can actually fit in the coupe. The GV80 Coupe 3.5 twin turbo V6, 375 horsepower with 391 pound-feet of torque. Turn radius is about 2 lanes. Let's rock and roll. You get a throaty exhaust note that comes in. I like a V6. And when you throw a twin turbo on it, I like it a little bit more. It's gonna take me to some pros and cons right off the bat to see if it's a get it or skip it vehicle. The pros is the performance that you're getting. The con, you're at 80 grand. There's a lot of variance at this price point. The pros, you're getting a lot of standard features in the interior, a digital rear view mirror, 360-degree reverse camera, haptic feel for your tri-climate control settings, blind spot view monitoring, which no vehicle has this. The rear gets ventilated seats as well as heated seats. The center where you're resting your arms, it's heated. 18 speakers through Bang & Olufsen sound system, and when you go into the E Supercharge, you're getting carbon fiber inserts. I like that they've given us the twin turbo as a base trim and only optioning 2 trims on the coupe, because once you start going into the E Supercharge, the big problem that I have, even when I reviewed it, was, you know, you're at near 90, or you could probably top it if you add a few things to it. And when you're thinking about these prices, it makes it a skip it vehicle. Even with all those pros that would make me get it, I mean, you just have to give a little bit more essence to that price. You got to give more performance. And I know a lot of people in the comments may say, well, you know, you're not looking for performance when you're getting a Genesis. I kind of am when I'm talking about an E Supercharge. I get it, it's just a 48-volt mild hybrid system. However, increasing the power, that's a plus. And increasing a little bit more to maybe 450, 500 would make this a get it vehicle right away for me, even at a 90 grand price. The drive is smooth. The seats are not as comfortable as my liking. I feel like Mercedes and Audi will take it there. Quietness, though, is right on par with Audi and Mercedes. BMW will be a little bit more of a firm suspension, but the seats are comfy, especially if you go into an M Sport variant. When you go into a true M, it's a different ball game, which you would be able to get a his and her at that price for the GV80 Coupe. I like the styling of this, but in some sense, I feel they do go a little overboard with the quad lighting kind of everywhere. But then you got to think about their signature touch. The screen configuration is good. Kind of wish it was more configured into the dash, and they do a leatherette instead of a leather, so you don't have to worry about it cracking in the heat of Florida. So now we're going about 25. Give it some gas. You have a little hesitation. Kind of kicks you back. I mean, there's a lot of torque in this. 20-inch wheels. You're gonna feel some of the imperfections. Now, when you put these steering assists on, you're gonna kind of fight the steering wheel, but the cool thing about the steering assist is they'll have a line indicating in the center, so it shows that the vehicle is going straight. So I think overall safety is definitely in the mind for Genesis. Plus the sensors that's in the rear, they will also register in the gauge cluster. So literally everything is visible for you. Unlike other vehicles, it kind of gives you a bit of a Tesla vibe. Moving in and out of lanes, you can do so. It does feel a little bit more sporty. I just feel like I'm sitting on top of the headliner, even though I have about 2 to 3 inches from hitting my head on the sunroof. I like that we got the micro suede inserts because it does give more of that luxury feel throughout the interior of the cabin. Real wood. Overall, they've done an excellent job. These are definitely reasons why I would get it, but ultimately the reason why I would skip it is they just haven't given enough to justify that price point. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video.